red flags.
Yeah, and why we often choose to ignore them.
I know. Our psyche, our brain chooses to delete them or just not really pay that much attention to them.
And they're there flying away. Hey, there's something
Danger,
not quite right here. But we kind of say, oh, okay, listen, we sweep it under the carpet. And that's what we're going to be discussing.
By maybe the honey beneath, behind the red flag. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yay! Get real with the English sisters.
Join us wherever you get your podcasts, and do remember to subscribe and hit that follow button.
You can also leave a comment on Spotify or YouTube, and we love to hear what you've got to say about this podcast or any other.
It's amazing to hear from you.
It's great. So yes, this red flag business. I think I've had a few red flags in my life, but...
Have you ignored them?
Probably. Definitely ignore them. I don't even think there used to be that expression, red flags. It was like you would instinctively... No, I don't think I did ignore the real ones.
They used to call it intuition.
Yeah, like gut feeling. The problem is, I think you have to be a little bit aligned with your instinct. And if you're not, you might tend to push those feelings away and not validate them to yourself.
I think you have to be, in touch with how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And sort of take a moment to think about what's going on as well. But sometimes your friends will tell you, hey, that's a red flag. And you'll still choose to ignore it.
Yeah, why do we do that?
I think it's because because it's what we want. On the other side is what we want.
It's
so if it's a relationship, in the end, you want to either be in a relationship or you want to be with that person a really lot. So you ignore the red flags behind it that are coming.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. you ignore the fact that something niggly is telling you, oh, that's not quite right. But then you'll make excuses.
Yeah.
Oh, they were feeling tired. They had a bad day. They were, I don't know, whatever. It's a bad moment for them. That's why they snapped. That's why they reacted that way.
That's why they've got a temper on them.
But is it really?
Or because they've had a drink.
Yes, there's multiple excuses that we create for them. And, maybe it's true if it's one time. And I think if it happens once, the red flag doesn't come up. Yeah. But I think if you see it as kind of like a repetitive... I think even just once it's not good.
It depends what it is. Because if it's like violence or abuse in any way, once is enough.
No, once is enough.
But like if it's just maybe snapping at you once because, they've had one too many to drink, or you may say, well, that's okay, and kind of forgive them. And they say sorry and you kind of say, oh, well, he's had a few drinks, he's particularly stressed. But
it's part of the personality.
Then you have to look and see, is it part of the personality? Like what you were saying, is it their nature? Is this what,
they really like? And
is this what they want to be like? Because if they say, oh, look, I'm so sorry I snapped at you. I really, I think I need to work on myself. I'm going to, try and control my temper a bit and my feelings.
Yeah,
and then
I'm a very fiery person.
Or going to a therapist or something, well, then that's okay, isn't it? Because everyone has room for improvement. It's not as if
obviously, that's a white flag that comes up and saying, hey, we're okay, peace, and we're going to work through this together. But it's the minimizing of red flags in your life in general that can cause you a great deal of anxiety, and in the long run it's definitely not a good idea to minimize them.
No, and I think the reason why we want to minimize them is because we want to stay in our comfort zone, which is in what we know. So it's what we know as a status quo.
We really do not want to face the truth of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. We don't want to face the truth. No. We want to hide away from it, no matter what it is.
And why do you think we want to do that? It's because we don't want to face ourselves, maybe work on ourselves in the end.
We don't want to work on ourselves, and then also it's always difficult to change. We know that the human, we know that we as people, we hate change. So once you're in something, most of us want to make it work.
And we want to
And
stay.
and we want to stay put rather than facing an unknown danger. You think, well, okay, this person is like this and this, but I know, kind of like know thy enemy kind of thing. You think, well, I know them, but I don't know another person that I may
I don't
encounter.
know what it's like to be out there or go
know.
back into the dating game
Yeah,
again.
to be alone and all those fears that can come up. And I think that's why, we would tend to minimize the red flags in a relationship, or minimize a red flag in a business or in a new job as well.
I think it's also the other.
Could be anything.
Yeah, I think one of the red flags is if people haven't got the same values or beliefs as you.
Definitely.
If they believe something completely different to how you see the world.
Well, if you're flexible enough to believe, like, if one person's religious, the other person's not, and they're both okay with that, and they're flexible enough to be respectful of each other's habits, and if one person, needs to go and pray, etc., I think that's okay. But if there's a red flag, if one person's extremely religious and you just think, well, I love them so much anyway, it'll be okay. But then you might find yourself in that relationship where you really don't want to be pressured into following that kind of
Religion.
Yeah, especially if it's strict. We've had cases like that as well. So that's also could be a potential red flag right from the beginning, as you say, that values and beliefs.
But would you, if you really like the person, there's also...
You fall crazy in love with them, so your mind plays tricks on you.
Attracted to them.
We know what the saying is, love is blind.
Yes.
So there is that moment where you are literally blinded by your...
Actually, in that program, Love is Blind, a couple are actually having a little baby together now.
Wonderful.
They got married and now
cute.
they're having a baby.
Let's hope it works out, if it's all real. I don't
seems
know
to-
if this
no,
is a
it-
real program
it is
or
a
if
real-
it's
no,
just
it's
bit
a real.
fiction.
No, it's a real program. They're
It's a
really
real-
having a baby.
Okay, great.
real
Let's
reality.
let's hope it works out for this
Do
couple.
you think that would have been a red flag if you were the parents of the people going into Love is Blind and they hadn't found love before?
The TV program.
The TV program, and
Right.
they find it in these booths that they can't see each other. They get to know each other first.
That's not bad, actually.
Yeah.
The whole concept of actually not being blinded by the physical appearance and not allowing that to influence your hormones, and that's not bad, actually. Even
They
though,
just get to know the personality.
yeah, I watched that program once out of an psychological interest with it. I was quite interested by some of the aspects because it is, the fact is that when you do see somebody, you cannot not be involved in how they look physically.
In the physical attraction.
You can't, whether you might think, oh no, that's not the right person. There's this and that, wrong colour or wrong colour hair. Anything. So, it sounds ridiculous, but we're like that. It would be unrealistic to believe we are not.
Exactly.
Isn't it? This is the truth of
we're
all
attracted.
of us.
We're attracted to certain types, aren't we? Most of us have a type of person we're attracted to.
Yeah, my husband was definitely not the type I was attracted to.
But if you'd got
So-
to know his personality,
Oh, I don't know about that. If he'd been behind doors and maybe he's generous, he's kind, he's sweet. He's also really fiery, and there are certain
I think his
aspects.
best aspects would have been good.
Well, obviously, if he's behind a booth, he's trying to woo. There's still a kind of courtship going on.
There's a big
Big courtship. There's a lot of flirting going on behind those walls. He's going to be showing me his best side.
Charming.
Charming, yes. I'd probably still be charmed, but I don't know. That was a bit of a bizarre case, my one, but yeah. It's worked out in the end.
It has
worked out. There were none of the red flags, like really bad red flags. There were some of them which now, at my age now, I probably would have been more picky. I would have thought, oh, he's got this tendency to be, he's Italian. He bursts up like a little flame, anything, but then it goes out easy too. So he does have this kind of release of stress really quickly, and then it just finishes. So I was a bit shocked by that at first, but now I've got used to it, and But maybe now, if I had to choose a kind of personality, I think I'd probably choose something more similar to myself. Because I'm very calm, generally. So, yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, we can't really do that. We're not going into sliding doors here. We're talking about all these... But it was just different, yeah. But if I had to advise someone today, I'd say don't be too picky, because if you're too picky, you never find anybody.
And what about the red flags that like go in the other direction? Like with me as well, with my husband, we were friends. I wasn't particularly attracted to him.
No, not physically.
Not physically.
No.
And yet the attraction grew afterwards.
Yeah, both of our relationships are a bit odd.
For me, it could have been like a red flag. Well, no, there's no way you're going to go. I'm going near that person because I'm not attracted. There's no physical attraction, and yet there was a lot of physical attraction afterwards. So it's a bit tricky with the red flags, I think.
No, but I think we're getting the wrong definition here. By red flag, I don't mean just because you don't fancy him because he's got red hair or ginger hair or black hair. We're talking about a red flag in this case. It's like they start yelling in traffic, for example. That might be a red flag for me.
About violence.
Yeah, like swearing. They're in the traffic and you think, oh, they're being really nice. It's like you've been going out with them for a long time and then you suddenly see this bout of road rage against a somebody who's an elderly person driving, for example. For me, that would be a red flag. I would not like to be...
what you mean. Or if you, for instance, if you, if someone...
Because it's all subjective, isn't it? Red flags are rather subjective.
Somebody else would say, that's nothing.
That's nothing. I do that all the time. Or
if you go to dinner with someone, you see them treating like the waiters really poorly about
them. I hate that. Yeah, that's a definite no. It would have been 50 years ago for whenever, 30 years ago when I met him, or today. It was being extremely generous and lovely with everybody. No, I would have hated that. That would have been I would have been scared of that. I would have been out like the clappers.
It could also be in relation, or you could also, another red flag is that maybe you get together with someone when they're already in a relationship, but you fall for them. And then they say the relationship's over, it's not really,
Yeah, that would be definitely a red flag for me personally, and I think for a lot of people. And you tend to minimise that and say, well, you know, they're going to get away from it. That other person, they're going to break up soon. Is that what you mean? That kind of relationship? Yeah, that's definitely.
But that could work out as well, couldn't it?
It could work out.
Yeah, because they might leave you.
We have had many cases where it has worked out.
And where you go through great anguish because you think, no, it's not going to work out. So,
but yeah.
I think you have to study it properly, though.
You have to understand what's really important for you and listen to your gut instinct if you trust it, but I think you have to trust it. I think all of us do have this feeling, so sort of if we learn to be a little bit more in tune with it, I think, and ignore the fact
more intuitive.
More intuitive, that's right. You know, that person, they may be, I don't know, like your ideal on paper. They may have all the things that you like, physical material things you might think you want, and think, oh, they're great, but then when you meet them, there are certain things that you just think, oh, no.
Boring.
Well, yeah, for example, boring. I never thought of that. That could be.
Well,
if somebody's
bad.
They say they can bore you to death, literally. That is an expression once again. So we don't want to be with somebody that we don't find intellectually stimulating at all. I mean, they don't have to be like a Nobel Prize winner, but they have to be something that you find funny, humorous, some kind of thing going on, don't they? I mean, if we're talking about relationships.
In the workplace, I was thinking about the first job I took. There was a big red flag there because it was supposed to be for people that just finished their A levels.
Right, yeah, I remember that first job you took.
And I had already graduated from university, and I took this job in a big bank insurance company, for the mortgage part of it. And and I went to the interview and I said, but is there room for growth? And will I, will I be getting paid more like in like 6 months' time? And sure, yeah, no problem.
But you kind of knew it wasn't true.
And then my boyfriend at the time, my husband said, just wait, Violetta, don't go for it. It's a big red flag. It's not for you. Come on. But I was impatient, and so I went for it. And it wasn't the right job for me in the end, but it did teach me a lot. It taught me not to ignore the red flags. And it's because I really wanted a job. So the fact that I really wanted just to have a job
makes you override.
Made me just think, no, it'll be okay.
Yes,
it'll
that's
fine.
same in if you really want to be in a relationship because you feel lonely.
Yeah.
And so that's going to make you override the red flag. So you've got to learn to listen. I think learn to trust in yourself once again. Learn to trust in yourself. Learn to recognize what you consider to be a no-no and say no, a red flag. I think, because the fact that you don't trust yourself enough.
And I think you should always allow for people, you have to allow that people do grow and change, but then there's some people that have that
narcissistic kind of personality.
They have it in them to want to do that, but then there's others that just won't allow for it.
No, and yeah.
So there's no point thinking I'd change them.
Yes, well that's another thing, yeah. And a lot of the times when you do see a red flag, we all think in our heads, oh well, change them, or where help them. It's like the Red Cross, syndrome, where help them. But a lot of the times you don't help them, and what happens is that you end up living this life where you're constantly justifying their behaviors, their actions, and you're not really living your fullest life, I think, together with somebody else that's supposed to compliment you, support you, and you're part of a team. I think if you don't feel that you're part of a team and you're like in this life together, then it's not a real relationship, I think.
Together you're stronger.
Well, yes, you're supposed to be stronger. It's not just you trying to bring in the strength and be... Sometimes you have to be stronger for the other person obviously in certain cases, but not always.
But there's give and take, isn't there? And then together you're stronger than if you were by yourself.
Yes. It's the other half is supposed to be the other half to complement you. Not that you are not a unity in per se and you are sufficient. But I think the expression just simply means that, doesn't it? It means it's an added...
that you're stronger, you're even better.
Yes, it's a better version together. Anyway, now that we've figured that out...
that's going to cause a lot of controversy.
Well, I think that if anyone's in a loving relationship, you'll probably think...
Yes.
It might cause controversy, but I think if you are in a loving relationship and... you might realise that, yes, you might have certain traits of your personality that are better with another person because they can either help you in some way or
they complement each other.
Complement each other.
It's like salt and pepper.
Exactly. Yes, we want to go down to the cooking metaphor. Yes, it's like... Why is it so controversial? Because
it's controversial because like what you said before,
we're complete by ourselves.
But it's like if you're in a team, there's always going to be, or if you're doing anything in life, if you ask for help, it's always going to be better. So if you feel stronger, it's always people that live together live longer. People that are in relationships is scientifically proven.
Yes, it is.
So there's obviously truth in it.
Yes, there's truth in the fact that we like to live in a tribe.
You don't want to be looking for a person that's going to make you whole.
Oh, no.
That's what you don't want.
That's what you don't want, yes. It's not, well done. Yeah, that's very well put.
That would be a red flag. Because you want to be... like
Your whole
self, so that you're comfortable in your own skin and comfortable in yourself, and then you're not looking for that person to like fulfill. That would be a red flag in you.
yes,
That the
yes.
other person would
should
spot.
be able to spot that and
That
think,
would say, oh no, like they're really super needy, then I'm
Yeah.
not going to be able to fulfill their needs.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's something that somebody else has to look out for, if that's your case, where you think, I need that person to make me whole. Yeah, no, you're so right about that.
So I think we can wrap it up.
We can wrap it up and say, let's listen to the red flags that you
Listen and
learn and watch for them, and don't minimize them. What were you going to say?
No, I was thinking a lot of people that have been in tricky situations, that have got themselves into terrible situations, like being before they're like sexually assaulted as well and things like that. They've had red flags and they ignore them.
They ignore them,
and
they've
say
had
too much to drink, and they get in a car with someone, or they've had they just go, they go home with someone that they don't really know, or they know leave their friends.
They know it's a red flag.
Or they go down some other place.
How many times is it actually for women that have been abused in the past? They say things like, I had a feeling that I should close the door and I should not let them in, but then I overrode that feeling because I knew them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't polite to do that. It would have been rude. And so that's where, then and you override. The red flag is telling you, hey, don't trust that person. Even though you know them, they might be a co-worker. Don't let them in. But you think, oh, it's rude. And that's happened so many times. So watch out.
Well, watch out for all the red flags in your life, and welcome in those white flags, I suppose.
Look for them, because there are people around you that are showing lots of white flags, and you might not be noticing them. They might be just the perfect person for you.
Yeah. Oh, the perfect job.
Perfect job, perfect thing, and you might think, no. But
so lots of love and smiles from the English sisters. See you soon.